In this video, I will show how to create a teleport for setting up a satellite transmission. So before even going to the teleport definition, let's talk about a bit the satellites. We have a set of pages where we define satellite related information. This is important because we need to match some data, um, satellite data, and our transmitting devices data, configuration data. That is. So okay, we start with the satellite page. Very briefly, it's pretty much informative data, but definitely useful for a network operator communicating to a satellite operator. We have a list of transponders. This is more relevant data for us because it's the frequencies and bandwidths involved here, and some slots, so the allocated bandwidth for a particular transmission. Again, frequencies and bandwidth. Pretty much static data, all of this. If we need to change any of it, we can of course do that. If we need to add another kind of information like a new slot, we can of course do that. We have also some predefined, for example, data like polarization. But again, pretty much static information. Once we put into the system, it stays there, useful and usable for our other kind of data, which is teleport. Okay, so we have satellite information ready. We know we need a satellite for our transmission. Let's go to the teleport. Teleport is a collection of hardware devices and parameters, or let's say services, applied on those devices in order to shape up a transmission with compression, quality of service, and whatnot, and send it uplink to the satellite or receiving it downlink from the satellite. So let's say my use case here is I need to set up a high profile event, a football game maybe, and I need to prepare everything, hardware and attributes, parameters, shaping for this transmission. I will create a teleport. I will give it the name of our company. Doesn't matter, just a name. Collection of other entities. And now I'm ready to set up or start to set up a transmission. I will say it's a high profile event to be included into this, to be supported by this teleport. And once I created this event, I already see that I can have transmission and receiving chains in this event. I can have more than one chain in the teleport. Of course, the teleport can support more than one transmission. But for now, I will focus on the chains that are needed for my transmission. I will start with the TX chain. First of all, I need to include in the teleport, in the chain, some devices, and my colleagues from the network setup prepared a list with only IP addresses for me. So they said this is the list of IP addresses that you'll need to set up your transmission. Okay, so I'm checking the list for my colleagues, input the IP address here, and the system recognized this, discovered it, and recognized it as a modulator um, of a particular vendor and a particular model. So I keep going, adding devices. Received from my colleagues. Another modulator. This is supposed to be a high-profile event, so I need a backup modulator in case the main one fails. Let's see what's next. Next is a ASI switch, the input part, and a L-band matrix, and a sorry, the previous one was L-band switch, and now it's L-band matrix. So at this point, my colleagues said, okay, these are the devices transmission related, and the receiving related devices are following in the list. I still keep on adding here the devices from the list. Are marked by my colleagues as receiving, and you see nothing happened. I tried to add another IP address and nothing happened. We'll come back to this. Okay, so my collection of hardware devices for the TX chain is ready. I'm also ready to actually create a chain which is devices and parameters. I'll give it high profile TX and edit it. I'm going to a page where I have different sections, a diagram page section which will be growing up as soon as you add new devices, a profile section with shaping parameters for the transmission, carrier control section, satellite section. The first thing to start with is to add the devices to this. So I'm putting in edit mode and starting the modulator, which is the core of the TX chain. It's really shaping the transmission. So I want with the modulator, I'm picking up, you see it's only two selections here because only two modulators are in the pool of the available devices out of 5. Let's pick this one as a main one. Pick a port. Already you can see it in the diagram. So I'm also picking the other modulator, the backup one. It's not showing up yet. Now going to L-band switch. One selection. I only have one L-band switch in the inventory. Okay, so now the backup modulator appeared because the L-band switch is the one selecting from those two modulators. ASI switch, the input switch, only one selection here available. Okay, so now it's showing in the diagram, and finally the L-band matrix. Picking it up. Okay. So the chain is complete. Everything is green. Everything is connected. If we look into the profile side here, as this is a new chain, initially all the parameters are are taken from the modulator. So we are displaying here parameters which exist now in the modulator, but we need to shape our own transmission um, um, by the requirements that we got from the engineers. So for this, by the way, let's close the edit mode, and you can see here that you can actually notice that this UI is live, is reactive, is picking up real data from the devices and displaying accordingly. Okay, so I was mentioning about shaping parameters, and for that we have the concept of profiles. Let's go to the profile section. I don't have any now, but I want to add a profile um, based on a novel sat waveform. I will even call it it's a novel sat 4 NS4 waveform for my high profile event. Okay, so novel sat, and I pick this kind of data. I got it from the shaping engineers, which decided which data are appropriate to this particular type of transmission. I'm going to select whatever they gave me, something like this. Symbol date of 5.53. So a lot of compression data, quality of service related data. Um, some devices, for example, Novelsat, accept extra parameters, and I'm going to fill them. Save the profile, and I'm going back to the teleport. TX chain, put it in edit mode. Going to say I want a profile here. So as soon as I'm selecting the profile, you can see that I have highlighted the differences between what is in the modulators and what is in my profile. So I know what I'm changing. So again, okay, I'm ready to apply these settings. They go into both modulators, because if the main modulators fails, I want my backup modulator to be able to pick up the transmission with exactly the same configuration. So yes, the transmission is the transmission shaping parameters are applied to the modulators, and um, this part is done. I have also the section of applying or matching the frequency in the modulators with the frequency in the satellite transponder. So for this, as I mentioned, the matrix, L-band matrix, is the one closest to the satellite. It is aware of the transmission frequencies, and we need a match between the transmission frequencies and the configuration of the modulator. So for that, we're going to do the matrix. We can configure one of the ports for our transmission. We pick up the satellite. This is data again coming from our RF engineers. They give it to me. They need to prepare or to plan everything in advance, of course. I input all this data. So I can go back to my chain. And there's one more thing I need to do to um, associate the transmission to be able to send the transmission through a satellite. And that's it. Go to the satellite page now that I created the chain, and make actually the satellite available for the chain. And for the sake of this demo, I will make both satellites available to the chain. So if I can go back to the chain, put it in edit mode, and I can see now, okay, so I have the transmission prepared, the shaping parameters, um, compression and quality of service and everything. So what I need now is to match that configuration part in my devices, and particularly my modulator, to the one of the satellite. So I'm picking a satellite here. I'm picking a slot, the real bandwidth allocated for my transmission. And you can see that already in the background, these parameters are filled. And what happened also in the background is that my modulator is configured uh, um, with this data, so it matches the frequency. It's aligned with the frequency of the transponder of the slot of the satellite. So I have a complete TX chain set up here with devices, with shaping parameters, frequency, everything. I can do extra things here right in the diagram. For example, I can change the ASI input. It's as simple as doing like this. So the input is changed, and I can also actually start to send live data. Now the chain is out there transmitting my event, high profile event, football game is in the air. Okay, this was the TX part. RX part is similar if we have one. Um, we can define a chain. We start with the inventory, and by the way, you see a device here already. It's the one that we added in the TX part, but it was not appearing there because it is related to receiving to RX. It's a demodulator, so the system knew how to place it correctly in this part of the inventory. I'm going back to the list my colleagues prepared, and I'm adding one more device we have on the list, and this would be a L-band matrix. So now I'm ready to actually create a chain. I'll say high profile RX, it's a name. I'm creating it, and I'm populating the chain with pretty much similar kind of information like TX. So edit mode, the modulator, I have only one, so I am including it, already shown in the diagram, and the L-band matrix, okay, shown in the diagram. And the rest is no different, really. I mean, there are different parameters, but it's the same kind of approach. We can apply a profile. We can select which satellite is involved in this transmission. I mean, from which satellite we are receiving it. So I will stop here. I think this pretty much shows how to set up a teleport. Thank you.